Hey guys, welcome back. It is another beautiful day in Western Pennsylvania, and I have been in my garden all day long, which makes me so happy. But today I am working on phase 2 of the complete garden overhaul, which if you didn't see my last video, I will post a link to that in the description box so you can see part 1. This is going to be an ongoing process throughout the entire summer, probably also through the fall, because I really want to revamp how everything is laid out in here. When we first moved here, I was so eager to put a garden in that I just like threw something in as fast as I could so that I could start growing. And little by little, I've added on every year to the garden. So I'm gonna turn the camera around and give you a tour here. Okay, so this section of garden that you're looking at right now was the original garden that I put in. Now this has a fence around it. I started to take it down earlier today, that's why that's missing. But this space I fenced in, and you can see the fence goes like all around here, all the way over down to the end, and then it went across down there. So that was the original garden, and then I added on another section. Let me get to it. Okay, this is just at the end of the section I showed you here. So the second season that we were here, I added on this next section. So I cut a hole in the fence right here so I could walk through, and fenced in this section here. Then the following year, I added the next section. You can see another fence in the background there. So I fenced that in. And the year after that, I fenced in another section down there. So ultimately now I have this giant rectangle. Oh, I also fenced in like way down there near the barn. So I have this giant rectangle, but I still have all of these fences on the inside, which I never took down because I figured I could just use them as trellises and grow things that needed to climb on them. But now that I've had, this is, we'll be here for almost 5 years. In the fall, it'll be 5 years that we've been here. So now that I've had some time to use the space and think about it and see what I really want to do with it, what I've decided to do is take down this whole interior fence here because I'm not using this one as trellis. I have another area where I am going to leave it up and use it as trellis. But I feel like this one here is just such a problem area because of the fence. It's hard to like control the weeds that grow up along the fence. And these weeds just take over and they encroach on everything. Like they take over in here. And you can see my poor asparagus. I've already weeded it once or twice this year, but the weeds are coming back again. So I really want to take this part of the fence down just so that it'll be easier to rip these weeds out. I can lay plastic down and not have to worry about that. And it's also easier access just to get back and forth to different places in the garden because right now I have to walk all the way around to go over there. So that's kind of annoying. So I started taking this fence down earlier today. I did take down this section over here. And for now, I took this down here. For now, I'm going to leave the T-posts in the ground because I haven't decided exactly if I want to take them out or leave them in. If I leave them in, I can always use them as a trellis later, even if I just tie like twine in between them for something that needs to climb. But if I end up needing those T-posts for another project, then I will dig them up and use them there. So anyways, I'm gonna finish taking down this section of fence here, and then I have another project I'm gonna get to after that. Oh, side note, you see these birdhouses, although they're in pretty sad shape, they need some repair. But this was very intentional. Now, these birdhouses were here when we moved in, but I love the fact that I have birdhouses right in the middle of my garden because I try to garden organically as much as possible. I don't use any pesticides, I don't use any chemicals in my garden. Everything's organic. So having the birds helps so much with pest control because they are amazing at eating my bugs. Let me tell you. I mean, the squash bugs can get out of control around here, but as soon as they show up, you'll see the birds just picking at them all day long in the garden, and they crush those things. Like within a week, they're gone. So I don't have to spray anything, and they have saved my plants. So anyways, I do want to build some more bird houses to put around inside the garden, and I need to repair those ones that are falling down. That's pretty sad. I'm sorry, birds. But I do feed the wild birds all winter. I have a bird feeder up by the house just to keep them local, and they are always here for me in the summer when I need them to eat my bugs. So check this out. This is where a whole bunch of praying mantis are going to hatch from. I have been finding these all over the place, and when I see them, I am trying to rescue them as best as possible. So I'm gonna stick this in the ground somewhere where it won't be disturbed, because praying mantis are also another really great way to have organic bug control in your garden. So I'm gonna go rescue these guys. Quick shout out to my husband for giving me an awesome Mother's Day present. This is a 1/2 gallon Yeti water bottle, and this thing is amazing. I had this sitting in direct sunlight in the hot sun on top of black plastic all day today, and when you touched the outside of the bottle you could feel the heat. It was really hot, but every sip I took from this bottle was still ice cold whenever I drank from it. So this thing is awesome. This will keep your water cold all day long, even when you're in the hot sun. So I will find, if I can find a link to this, I'll put it in the description box, but this is amazing. The whole fence is down. That was so much harder than I thought it would be because of all the weeds that were in the way, and then trying to get that giant roll of fencing past those birdhouses and in between the birdhouses and the T-posts. It was not working out, so I had to lift the whole thing over top of the birdhouses, over to the other side, pull the tomato cages out of the way, roll it up. It was a whole thing. But anyways, it's done. I'll show you the fencing in a minute, but this is a wild black raspberry, which is growing and has flowers on it already, so that's exciting. I do have some other raspberries along this fence line, so I'm gonna be careful not to disturb them when I pull the rest of these weeds out of here. But I would like to probably cover up this whole section with black plastic so these weeds don't grow back. But let me show you kind of what the plan is. Oh, I forgot I left all those T-post clips here. Grab those. All right. Kind of show you my master plan. I'll take a little stroll this way. This was most definitely a job where I should have been wearing long jeans and muck boots, because shorts and tennis shoes were not cutting it. Oh, we got some more black raspberries there, so that's exciting. They just grow wild all over our property, and like the birds will eat them and then poop them out and plant new seeds, and so we just get them springing up everywhere, which I love because they're delicious. Anyways, oh yeah, but yeah, I definitely should have been wearing muck boots and long pants because my legs look like I got in a fight with a jaguar or something. There were so many thorns and sticks and scratching myself up on everything. Anyways, so here's the fence. This is the one I just took down, and then I have some other fencing over there that I took down before. I don't know if you can even see that, like trying to point without dropping T-clips, but right there. There's a little bit more fencing down in that corner. and I'm going to show you what I'm going to use this for. I have a bird who is very angry with me because I bumped the birdhouse while I was taking that fence down, and it came flying out, and he's been yelling at me ever since. Hear that guy? Oh. I'm sorry, birdie. I was just moving the fence. I'm done now. You're good. Go back in your house. So angry. Okay, so this is one of my unfinished projects on the farm. I did finish this one side of the fence. We used to have our chickens out here, and we had ducks in there at one point. But there's another section on the far side which is not completely fenced in. I have like one fence in the middle, going down the middle, so we could have like 2 separate flocks of birds there at once. So the one section on this side is all closed in, but on the far side, I did not finish closing that in. So I'm gonna repurpose some of that fence that I just took down and finish that up. And then also inside the barn, there's another pen that I want to finish closing off where we're keeping our meat birds for this year. So that's where the fence is going to go, because I do not throw away building materials. Certainly not. I will use them, repurpose them for something, but definitely never throw those away. So here's another area where I might repurpose some of that fencing. I put all these T-posts in 2 summers ago, I believe, to do a Florida weave with my tomatoes. So you can see I have this twine here that I had tied all the tomatoes up with. And it worked pretty well, except for the fact that this particular section of garden, the soil was like clay and held moisture too much. Like it was like puddles of water, and the tomatoes didn't do well over here because of that. So I didn't realize that until after I had put all the T-posts in, because all of that soil was under black plastic and I couldn't see what it was until I dug the holes to put the tomatoes in. So that was kind of like a harsh learning curve on that one. But now that I know that, what I can do in the future is build this up like the same way I'm doing over there, which I'll show you in a second. Just put concrete block along the sides and build up the soil so that it does have good drainage and it's not just like clay soil there. So I know this is a hot mess. That's because I didn't plant anything here last year. I just didn't use this spot. And look at this, this like giant tree grew up here in 1 year. I'm gonna have to get a chainsaw and cut that down. I don't even know what that is, but this is 1 year of growth on this thing. Ridiculous. So anyways, I might repurpose some of these T-posts, or I might end up taking them out and just doing something else with this section of garden. That remains undecided, but I do know what I am doing over there. So let me go show you. Short detour, just thought I'd show you my garlic while we were on the way over there. Check this out, this garlic looks amazing. I have 4 rows here. It is doing so well. I'm looking forward to a good harvest from that. All right, moving on. So over here, I have my potatoes in this raised bed, and they're looking amazing. These look better than any potatoes I've ever grown so far. So I think the raised bed was definitely the way to go. And I did like a lasagna garden method with that. Just put in like sticks, dead leaves, dead grass, compost, food waste, all kinds of stuff. Just layered a bunch of stuff and then put topsoil on the top. The potatoes seem to be loving that, so that worked out really well. This one was kind of a fail. I planted carrots and onions in there and nothing germinated, which I think was because I put too much mulch on top, and the seeds kind of got lost in the mulch and never actually made it into the soil, I think. So that was a lesson learned. I will not do that next time. I will let them germinate first and then put the mulch on top. So anyways, I'll probably just replant something else in there. I might put sweet potatoes or something in there. We'll see. But what I am doing is this. So this is going to be a bed for my tomatoes. Now it's not ready to plant yet. I still need to loosen up this soil, same way I did in the video where I planted the strawberries, which I can post a link to that in the description box if you missed that one. But I'm gonna loosen up the soil, and then I'm gonna throw some compost and manure in there. Mix it all in, throw a little more on top, and then plant my tomatoes and mulch over top of that. So that's what I'm gonna do in this bed. And I kind of mentioned earlier, like the places where I have fences in the garden, those are kind of my problem areas for weeds. Like for example, let's go check this one out. So again, this was originally sectioned off because it used to be an exterior fence until I expanded and built this section of the garden around it. So I have this fence here, and this is the bane of my existence. Not the awesome blackberries, the blackberries are great, but behind them, the, I think that's multiflora rose, which don't get me started on that stuff. It's so awful and you can't get rid of it. It's wilting now because I just cut the stem the other day to let it die off, and then I'm gonna rip it off of the fence. But I do wanna take this fence down too, just so it's easier to get through. And again, anywhere I had a fence, it was really hard to weed at the fence line because you couldn't put plastic straight across as a weed barrier because there was fence in the way. And so stuff would just grow up through the cracks, grow up, climb the fence, and just be a mess. So the less indoor fencing I have, the better, I think. So I'm gonna take that out. And not only does that help me manage the weeds better, but also it's easier access, just walking back and forth across the garden, getting the hoses where I need them to go, things like that. So that fence is coming down too. Probably not tonight because I want to work on something else tonight. But anyways, this I've already shown you a bunch of times, I think, but we'll just take a peek on how everything's doing in here. I do have some more garlic in here. That's over in this corner. There's more garlic. Over there, I have some perpetual spinach. That's what this is. Have some lettuce over there. Some kale is starting to grow there. I think I have a little more kale over here. There's some bok choy that I have back there. And other than that, pretty much weeds. For some reason, none of my lettuce over here germinated, so I'm gonna have to try again with the lettuce. I don't know why that didn't germinate, but everything else did. So anyways, that's what's in there. Now for the rest of the evening, what I'm gonna do is, since I have a few more concrete blocks there, I've decided to extend this garden bed a little bit farther, and I'm going to just bring it to this fence post here. And then you can see I cut a walkway here, I just cut from here to here between the two posts so that you can get through this fence so you don't have to walk all the way around. And I'm going to build an identical bed to that. I'm gonna build that over here along this fence. So again, the fences were places where I just really struggle with weeds. As you can see, they're growing up through the fence again. So I figured it needs to be addressed one way or another. If I put a raised bed there, then I can put my plants there and mulch everything around it. It'll be a lot easier to control the weeds. And then I can use that fencing as a trellis for anything that needs to climb. So this year I'm gonna use that fencing to hold my tomatoes up. I can use it for peas or beans or squash or whatever, anything you have that climbs. And that way I can rotate what I put in there each year so that the soil is getting new and different nutrients every year. And so I do want to have multiple of those beds so I can switch things around. And if I have enough space, I'll probably do like a third one down there as well and cut another hole somewhere here. I'm really working this year on the whole layout of the garden. I really want to get set walking paths here and decide where the beds are going to be, like for good, and then stop moving everything, because every year I've been just like cutting new holes in the plastic to plant things that I want to plant, and then I'll move them the following year because they need different soil and different nutrients, and you don't want to plant the same plants in the same place year after year because you get problems with diseases and bugs and things like that. So I've just been kind of like haphazardly throwing things wherever I could. And I'm done with that now. Like now I am focusing on making permanent solutions, permanent beds, permanent walking paths. And anything that's not a growing bed, I am covering with black plastic so I don't have all of these weeds, so that there are just clear pathways for walking, and anything that's not a walking pathway is a neat, organized bed looking something like that. So that's the plan. As I mentioned before, this is an ongoing thing. We can't buy all the block at once. I can't do all the work at once, but I'm very excited to just be starting the process this spring, and I'm going to continue the process all summer as time allows and into the fall, and hopefully by next spring I'll have a pretty good jump start on at least knowing where I want the beds and the pathways, even if I don't have everything set up yet. So anyways, that is what I'm doing today. I'm gonna finish doing this bed, and we will catch you guys in the next video, and I will keep you posted on how things are growing and you know, my progress on reorganizing things. So make sure, if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up so that I know that you like this kind of content and I can create more of it for you. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.